Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP. And in this video, I want to address the rollout of the new financial system. It is beginning, but the problem is that most are not awake and aware of what actually is happening. We have seen distraction after distraction for the retail sector on the mainstream media news for like the last couple months now. One of the biggest ones was, aliens and UFOs, which everybody was laughing about. But we all know at the end of the day, it's all distractions. And what really is happening right now? Well, Australia, digital ID is launching there. For most people, they think digital ID, well, this is good for us, right? Because that's what they're being catered. They're being served this on mainstream media saying, hey, digital ID is great for, you. It's the holy grail. That's the exact quote that you'll hear in this video. But pay attention to the end because it repeats the same audio, but pay attention to the titles of the videos and the articles. Listen closely to this.
The state government is about to launch a new form of digital ID that means you'll never have to hand over your personal details to anyone again. It will all be stored in the Service New South Wales app on your phone, which will prove you are who you say you are.
Scanning his licence, passport and Medicare card, in less than 3 minutes, the minister proves he really is Victor Dominello.
This is unquestionably the Holy Grail.
This is your first look at the state's new digital ID.
This is a huge step forward in giving back people control over their data, control over their identity.
Personal credentials will be stored on your device. No IDs need to be handed over. And that means keeping your address and birth date to yourself. If you need to hire a car, rent a property, set up a bank account, check into a hotel, or prove you're over 18 to buy alcohol or attend an event.
All you need to do is tap your phone and that will be a validation that you are real.
Australians from the kitchen table to the boardroom table would have an increased anxiety following the deluge of data breaches we saw late last year.
But this seeks to take away the risk because companies will never have a copy of your details in the first place. But how can it trust you are who you say you are? Well, you'll need to take a selfie, which will be cross-checked against other forms of ID you've submitted, and when there's a match, you're good to go. The technology will be opt-in and should be available later this year, although you'll run into problems interstate.
More than happy to offer it to other jurisdictions.
Amy Clements, 7 News.
The state government is about to launch a new form.
Now, this is where the video does repeat. Listen closely to this.
Form of digital ID that means you'll never have to hand over your personal details to anyone again. It will all be stored in the Service New South Wales app on your phone, which will prove you are who you say you are.
Scanning his licence, passport and Medicare card, in less than 3 minutes, the minister proves he really is Victor Dominello.
This is unquestionably the Holy Grail.
This is your first look at the state's new digital ID.
This is a huge step forward.
Now, did you pay attention to the names or the titles of these articles? Did you focus on what's actually happening? This is not good. These CBDCs, these digital IDs, all of this is being catered for our own good. For, oh, it's going to change your life for the better. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. Well, look at what's happening over in China. China is able to put an expiration date on the digital yuan, forcing people to spend and not allowing them to save. Remember the digital euro? They were putting allowances on the digital euro. You couldn't spend X amount of this, and you couldn't, do this every single month. You couldn't buy certain things. Like, this is the truth behind it all. They want to control us through our currency. This is slavery to the financial system. This is not good. We do see over here. So I'm not going to play the video just because there's music in it that will copyright, but we do see central bank digital currency, CBDC, will be programmable, ultimately giving the issuer government control over how it is spent by the recipient. Your freedom to purchase fuel, meat, flights will be limited to a carbon credit score. Think about that. This is from Jordan Peterson. And yeah, this is the truth. Like, everything that you are purchasing, everything that you do on a day-to-day basis is going to be controlled. You're going to be tied to this credit score system. And I've talked about this. I've talked about it many times. And the thing is that we need to wake up. because a lot of people think that this is some conspiracy theorist. Like, oh, you're just, spewing this nonsense. It's all conspiracy theory. It's all fear mongering. Like, no, like this is already happening. Brazil, they're launching their experimental CBDC. This is expected to have public adoption by the end of 2024. Okay, and when you go over to CBDC Tracker, so I focused on this going back to 2022. Okay, I focused on this quite a bit during 2022. Well, guess what? It's now 2023. We are 3 months into 2023. Look at the announcement year here. 2023, all down the list. 2 pages almost of this. So far, we have 1 whole page of CBDC announcements. Bank of England, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iran, European Central Bank, People's Bank of China, and there's so many other ones here as well. But those were the main ones. And a lot of these are either in proof of concept or research with 1 pilot in China. Things are moving extremely fast, and you can see all the news around these. Right? You can go all the way back to even just the beginning of this month. There was huge announcements around CBDCs. Iran is moving fast on these. The BIS, they're already wrapping up exploration project on retail CBDC payment system. All of these things are getting prepared, and they are starting to roll out small stages so far. But wait until they have the first CBDC live. From there, it will blossom into a global push. And it's not just going to happen one at a time. No, it's going to be, most of them going fully live overnight. This is a big deal. I think everyone should be focused on this. Now, you might be wondering, well, what does Ripple and XRP have to do with any of this? Well, I do think that Ripple is a visionary company. I think that they realize what's happening. I think that they understand what's happening as well. And they want to be ahead of this game as well. That's why they focused on CBDCs early on. We actually do see here from Ripple, there are many drivers in the exploration and adoption of CBDCs. Many countries are considering digital currencies as a more cost-effective alternative to paper money and as a means of boosting financial inclusion. Over here as well, interested in learning more about CBDC use cases, hear from James Wallace, Ripple's VP of Central Bank Engagements and the winners of the 2022 CBDC Innovate Challenge, who built novel apps across retail financial inclusion and interoperability. And then also, just recently, they did post this video. It's about a minute long. Strategies and best practices for central bank digital currencies. CBDCs will play an important role in transforming global payments and improving financial access. Ripple's VP of Central Bank Engagements, James Wallace, discusses the many possibilities of the technology.
XRP Ledger is, world-leading public blockchain which was built for payments and issuing currencies, so it's a natural fit for CBDCs. We've taken that and basically providing a private version of that for the central banks. Something that's going to be absolutely critical for the success of CBDCs and the adoption of them is the relationship between the public sector and the private sector. As I mentioned earlier, we view that the public sector, the central banks working with the government, will be the designers, the rule setters in terms of policy, and the implementers of the platform for the core capabilities around wholesale and retail CBDC, but that the use cases will come from the private sector. The list just goes on and on and on. There's literally endless potential use cases.
And again, there is a lot of potential here for CBDCs, but the issue is that we don't need CBDCs. See, I've talked about this. I support wholesale CBDCs. I think that CBDCs for central banks themselves is great. If they are backed one-to-one by fiat currency or by gold would be the best scenario. And I've talked about why. I obviously don't. I don't think that fiat currency is, utilized. And I should say, I don't believe that fiat currency is a good way to back anything. Gold, I believe that gold will be the thing that backs most of the CBDCs as well. But I've talked about stablecoins, right? I've talked about wholesale CBDCs and stablecoins. How we could have this incredible digital economy without the need for retail CBDCs. I don't believe that retail CBDCs are crucial at all. I don't think that they're vital for the evolution of money and fiat. What I do believe is that we could have stablecoins. I think that government-issued stablecoins is probably the best way for retail to not only have control over their money, but also be able to utilize digital means of payments. I also say that I believe that we should continue to have fiat. I think that fiat could also converge with this new system. I don't think that we need to get rid of fiat. I think that fiat can still, stand the test of time, but I do think that we still need some sort of digital payment means. And I think that stablecoins are a great way to do this. I don't think that stablecoins, obviously algorithmic ones, they were concerning, but most of the stablecoins that we have today, like USDC, is a perfect way of transacting. I've transacted with USDC multiple times. A wholesale CBDC is great for central banks because, again, you can see the transparency there between central banks, what a certain central bank is doing with their money. That's great, especially to alleviate a 2008-like recession. But when we look at the evolution of CBDCs, we're not just getting a wholesale. We are getting a retail CBDC with digital ID tied to it. This is concerning. This is a big issue, and this is a warning sign to anybody out there that is not awake. We need to make sure that we are aware of what they are trying to do here. And by the way, focus on the BRICS, because the BRICS are also streamlining and igniting a major push towards the new system. Recently, China came out and said that the United States' radical fiscal policy is to blame for economic turmoil across developing countries. And you might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with any of this? Well, the BRICS are moving extremely fast to develop a new reserve currency. This recently started, but this has been in the plan for over a decade long now. And I want you all to understand that we will see a radical shift in the financial system. I do believe that it's going to be the evolution of possibly CBDCs to be launched, digital ID to be launched, and right now, as we do look at everything happening around the world, we are seeing major things happening around fiat currencies, and we're seeing the evolution of this new financial system before our eyes. Recently, I talked about Lebanon, right? They underwent a massive devaluation of 90% of their currency a month ago. 90% of its purchasing power just vanished. This is what we are seeing right now around the world. And again, the BRICS, they are buying up tons and tons of gold, but also they are becoming a leader around the world. Iran has announced a massive discovery that could represent the second largest lithium deposit in the world. This comes as they want to join BRICS right as the world transitions to electric vehicles. It is estimated China refines 60% of the world's lithium. BRICS is a resource-based bloc which may continue to discount. They are all stockpiling gold. Also, the United Arab Emirates and Turkey have agreed to double their trade volumes to between $40 billion to $45 billion within the next 5 years. Both of them have expressed interest in joining the BRICS. Countries within the BRICS continue to gobble up gold. And last but not least, central banks around the world added another 31 tons of gold in January, a monthly increase of 16%. Remember that when we are seeing this much gold accumulation from the central bankers, we see a radical shift and a radical announcement around the monetary system. The last time that we've seen a huge opportunity in terms of the monetary system going under a major update or an upgrade or whatever change it is, we've seen gold accumulation like this. The trend of central banks accumulating gold continues in 2023. Meanwhile, developing countries' stockpile of debt hit a record high last year. Focus on the BRICS. The BRICS are the ones that are stockpiling tons and tons of gold at a time where they want to develop a new reserve currency. And this goes back to October of last year. So we need to make sure that we are paying attention to this, because as we see CBDCs becoming a big discussion and digital IDs and how they're being catered to the retail sector is a good thing, most people are not going to be aware of what's actually behind closed doors with these CBDCs. But for those that are awake, you're seeing the rise of the new financial system, and it's not a good one. It is not for our benefit at all. With that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. I hope that you all have a beautiful day, beautiful night. If you guys are on this before, this has been Nick. Peace out, guys.